on, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting update special. Classic style, for everyone. As a reminder, I always want to kick these episodes off to remind you that we have many more updates available to you behind Viall Files Plus. Just oodles of them. I don't know, 20-some episodes of delicious updates that you've been dying to hear. I know you guys love your updates. We love bringing them to you, so don't forget, so many more behind Viall Files Plus. It's free to sign up. Just go to viallfiles.com. Yada, yada, yada. You know the drill. And check it out. But we do have some amazing updates for you. We have some old school ones. We have some feel-good updates, if you will. A throwback from way back. And then we have a very recent update, the one from the Gypsy Rose episode. If you guys don't remember, this lovely young woman was a little caught off guard by her husband's sex drive, kind of out of nowhere. And that, we uncovered maybe there were some questions about past behavior in the past. We get an update from her. And that only just created more and more questions. It's a juicy one. There's just more to the story. So we get an update and so much more. It's a varietal update, if you will. We've closed the loop on some stories. We've gotten more questions on others, but it's jam-packed one way or the other. That being said, we have a written update to start.
Yes, we do. So this is from our caller, Sarah, who joined us on episode 692 because her best friend told her that he loved her, was in love with her, 3 days after she gave birth to her third baby. Kind of came out of nowhere. Your advice was basically like, yeah, it's a great story. And you might be romanticizing the idea of, oh, after all these years, my best guy friend has confessed his love to me. But like practically, is he ready to kind of step into your life and help you raise 3 kids? You are a mother of 3 kids. You've just given birth to your third. So I think it was an important call of kind of taking off the rose-colored glasses or romanticizing the situation and bringing in a bit of practicality due to the fact that while it's nice that he was expressing his love, what does that actually mean long-term as a partner to her and her children?
All right, let's play a quick clip for our writer-enter just to bring our audience up to speed of what they were referring to. How's it going?
Good. I'm Sarah. I'm 30 years old. My best friend of 5 years told me that he was in love with me after I just had my third baby.
Are you married, in a relationship?
No. So I had twin girls and me and my friend were still friends. Like we've never all the little pieces are, I've never hooked up with my friend. I've never kissed him. I've never anything. We've always just been very normal girl boyfriends. And I was in toxic relationship. I ended up getting pregnant with twins. A year later, I move out, end the relationship with my baby daddy, and I find out I'm pregnant again. So I'm like, okay. I went through the whole pregnancy. My friend came, my guy friend came to visit me when I was 39 weeks pregnant. And prior to that visit, kind of changing the context of our conversations, being more flirty. And it was kind of confusing. I was like, I don't really, this is new, this is different. But I just kind of went along with it. He is cute. I do find him attractive. I just never opened up my thoughts to being in a relationship with him or anything other than that. And then my water ended up breaking while he was in town. And it was just this really strange, overwhelming amount of emotions, I would say. I kind of wanted him to be there with me during my labor. I didn't want him to leave. And it was just kind of weird. I had kids before. It's a vulnerable time. It's, I wasn't expecting my baby daddy to be there anyways because we had been fighting. And that was kind of one of the precedents because I was having a home birth. So I didn't have to go anywhere. I'm just at home. And the baby daddy's sick anyway. But my guy friend said, well, I shouldn't be here. And I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, you shouldn't be here. But in my head, I'm like, why do I want you here so bad? I want you to hold my hand while I'm giving birth. I'm like, I've never kissed you. Why would I want you to see me give birth to a baby? So it was a weird wake up call for me, feeling wise. So then I give birth, and about 3-ish days later, he calls me, how is everything? How do you feel? And I'm like, we just kind of chat. And then he started texting me I've been in love with you since after you had your twins. I just didn't really tell you. And then you got pregnant again. And I just didn't know what to say. But seeing you, I have so much respect for you. You go through, you're doing all of these things. I'm in love with you. And I never let myself realize that what kind of love it was. Like I always knew I cared about you, but I'm in love with you.
What did you say to him when he said, I'm in love with you?
I said, love's like a lot of things. I said, I do love you. I do care about you. And I can't really deny the fact that when you came down here, things felt way different. And I liked it. Like, I was like, I want to see where this would go.
You said that to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so for like 6 weeks, we talked like every day, which was not what our relationship was before. We would check in with each other when he moved away. So this was like a new thing. He talked to me like all day, every day. We were texting, and he just continued to say like really like emotional things, like about how much he loves my daughters and like how he just wants this family life and like more kids, and saying like how he like could see me as his like wife, like not even love bombing, but just like almost like a really deep unloading of emotion.
Yeah, I mean, just because someone just kind of says I love you after a long period of time doesn't mean it's love bombing.
Well, no, it's been 4 months now. He told me that he thinks I'm still in love with my baby daddy. He doesn't want to do this anymore, and he's not ready for a relationship.
Oh, wait.
And I was like,
where did it? Oh, yeah.
And I was like, wait, I didn't think we were in like a relationship. I thought we were just kind of like exploring feelings and like talking and kind of changing our relationship.
So he's kind of reverse course on you?
Yeah, like totally flip flop. And then he's like, I can't do this. I'm not ready to be in a relationship. I don't want to be in a relationship. I said, okay. I didn't think you were my boyfriend. Like that, like I was like, whoa, like backpedaling, like what's going on?
I don't think this is love bombing, but I think what he is maybe a little immature and a little careless with his feelings. For him to say, I'm in love with you and I've been in love with you the whole time, and then 4 months later say, I'm not ready for a relationship, I don't want a relationship. Listen, like you have 2 young twins, you have another newborn baby, like you have a lot going on. I wouldn't talk anymore. I would just be like, next time he reaches out, just be like, hey, listen, I'm not trying to be rude, but like I care about you. It really messed me up, you saying you were in love with me and then pulling back, and just name it. I was delusional to think that we could remain friends and go backwards. We can't. But you seem like you have a good head on your shoulders. You seem like you have a good support system and you have friends. And listen, this guy just needs to grow up a little bit and then focus on healthy boundaries, healthy rules that you can enforce, hold people accountable. And if people can't follow your healthy boundaries and healthy rules, then you don't have time for them. And that includes friends, families, and potential lovers. And the more you focus on that and the more you bring that into your life, the easier it will be for you to enforce those boundaries, and you will attract the right people.
Yeah, that is, yes.
All right. Well, so what's the update?
So update is Nick's advice. I took it to heart. It was hard to get out of the fantasy of the idea of falling in love with my best friend. It sucked having him open up with the whole thing and then to ditch it, but having Nick naming all of his quote boy energy helped. The guy ended up calling me spoiled because my parents were helping me out right now while I can't work, which was a super low blow. And I just said, okay, well, I'm going to just give you space. I didn't even feel like explaining myself because of my little wake-up call. And we haven't talked in like 2 months. So he really fucked off, which was wild. I was really supportive through some big hard times he was going through. And it's just helped me just realize a lot of the crap he did, and I can't be delusional. And if he does reach out again, I'm not interested. Some things he did and said tainted the relationship, and it's true. I couldn't go back to friends. That was me trying to keep him close. But it does oddly feel like a weird breakup. But very grateful I got a straightforward answer and a male perspective to help me be like, wait, WTF? This is a pattern of mine, and I need and want to be better. So this mama is on to bigger and better. Man energy is all I'm taking in 2024.
Well, we love that, Clarity. We got some clarity.
Well, and it's also like you need man energy. You're a mother of 3. You don't have time for boys.
Well, yeah. And this guy clearly wasn't communicating or being direct with his intentions. And then finally, when he got called out for it, he continued to act like a boy. But it gave her the answer that she needed. And it is a breakup. Friends break up, situationships break up, relationships break up. And this guy was somewhere in between all of that, right? And it sometimes takes a direct communication to seek out the truth, and she got to the bottom of it, which is this clearly is not the type of platonic friendship that she hoped and intended for it to be, and now she can move on and stop questioning what his true intentions are. We love clarity. Well, great. I mean, that puts a bow on that.
an episode of some bows and open more questions. So a combo.
It was bows and a big can of worms at the end. Well,
bows and worms.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's get to our first caller.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy questions.
Welcome back, Kaylee.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So I originally called in. Am I doing this right?
No, yeah, you're doing great. Well, I was gonna say you originally called
Perfect.
in episode 295, so a throwback, a long time ago.
Yes.
It was a very unique
A couple
call.
of years ago.
Yeah, you called in wondering if you were the DUFF of your friend group, which I didn't know then, and I forgot all about it until you reminded me. But in your, what is a DUFF for the audience if they don't remember?
So there's this movie that came out years ago, and the DUFF stands for
What's the movie?
Designated Ugly Fat Friend. The movie was called The DUFF.
The movie's called The DUFF. Yeah, 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb. 73% Rotten Tomatoes. Not that bad. Bella Thorne's in it. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's right.
Ken Jeong is in it. And some other notable people. Wow. Anyway, did 43 million at the box office. So what is a DUFF?
So it stands for Designated Ugly Fat Friend.
And you were wondering if you were that.
Yes. I was fully convinced I was.
You're how hot are your friends? You're an attractive person. Like what are you rolling? Are you rolling around with like Victoria's Secret supermodels?
No, they're just like they're tall, skinny, like super pretty, just like a typical like hot girl these days. And I feel like I kind of considered myself more of like the girl next door type. That's like not.
And the more I talk to you, the more it's I'm remembering our conversation, even though it was a long time ago. Let's play a quick flashback for our audience, for those who don't remember or who didn't even listen to the show back then. But yeah, let's play a quick clip on what your call was and the advice we offered you. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Great. What's your name?
My name's Kaylee.
Hi, Kaylee. How can I help?
I am the DUFF when it comes to my two best friends.
You've identified yourself as this person?
Yes, I have.
Do your friends identify you as this person?
They don't. They hate me every time I say it.
Okay.
But
all right, continue.
So I go out with my friends.
Okay.
And one of my best friends is tall and blonde and super skinny, rockin' bod. My other best friend, she's like my height. We're both 5'2", but she's super fit. Looks good in anything. And then I wear an outfit similar to theirs. And I look like the mom of the group. And every time we go out somewhere, everyone always comes up to them and saying how beautiful they are. And like, I don't even get acknowledged.
Okay.
Ever.
How long have you been friends with these ladies?
Couple months.
Okay. Well, how'd you meet?
We work together, actually.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've only been friends for a couple months?
Yes.
Okay. And so what's your question?
My question is, whenever we go out somewhere, like, I'm always the bold one that's always out there dancing, having a good time, drinking, you know, just making the most of the night. But when I'm out and I don't get acknowledged by any sort of male human, is there something I should, like, is there a certain way I should be dressing or a different way I should go about myself? Because it's so awkward when I don't even get looked at.
Okay, well, when you go out and, as you say, drink, dance, and have fun, why are you drinking and dancing and having fun?
That's just like my personality. Like,
Great.
I'm
okay.
Personality.
So if that's what you want to do, then you should do it because you think it's fun, right?
Right.
Now, again, I don't, either. There's no wrong answer. If you do it because like that's my thing, because that's how I get guys because I dance. That's also fine too. But you said, oh well, I go out and I drink and have fun and have a good time, and I'm not getting attention. So like, just be honest with yourself about why you're doing it.
The guys that live in my area, they want a specific type of girl.
I mean, listen, you seem like a very cute girl. You know what I'm saying? Like you're being a little hard on yourself. I don't know what your friends look like. If you're telling me your two friends you've known for 2 months are like two bombshells that, modern society considers traditionally super attractive, then sure, yeah, you're going to be hanging out with people who naturally are going to capture more attention than you. I don't know what to tell you. What you need to try to do is figure out, can you be your best self around these people? It's really dumb for you to keep doing the thing that you're doing in terms of like, I'm the whatever, DUFF.
Yes, the
Like,
DUFF.
it is like it's not fair to your friends that you call yourself that. It can't make them feel any better. They didn't do anything to like have you call yourself. Clearly you're selling yourself short, and over time they're just going to eventually be like, they're going to decide they don't want to hang out with you anymore because you're going to make them feel bad about themselves for doing nothing. Figure out how you can feel more confident. And maybe that means like not necessarily hanging out with women who make you feel less confident until you are able to hang out with anyone and have and newsflash, there are men who aren't going to like them. There are men who are going to like you and not like you, right?
Right.
Now, maybe because these two friends might be considered more traditionally good looking, they might get attention at first, right? But we're talking about attention at a bar, right? And so if you're in it for attention, if your goal is to go out to a bar and get hit on the most, then you should definitely not hang out with two bombshells, if that's your goal. Now, if your goal is to go out and have fun and do the things that you think are fun, like drink and dance and have a good time, and maybe meet a nice guy that you connect with, well, then you can easily hang out with your friends, not stress about or fixate on all the attention they're getting, and you're definitely going to get hit on. You're a cute girl. Like, you're nice. And if you're out there and you truly are focused on having fun and you're not focused on how much attention they're getting, then people will respond to that energy. But the energy, it sounds like you're giving off, is one of insecurity, and maybe you're dancing for attention rather than dancing because it's fun.
Right. That makes sense. My ultimate goal is to like get a boyfriend. Like that's what
Great.
But it's just a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. And so that's kind of why I go out to like maybe organically meet someone, because the dating apps haven't worked.
How old are you again?
What was that?
How old are you again?
23.
Okay, so you're young.
Yeah.
Might take a couple of years,
I'm not stressed, but after my last relationship, I've just kind of been looking for something to, like, someone to prove me wrong about all guys, because right now none of it.
What do you mean? Because like you had a toxic ex and he spoke for all men?
So far, every guy I've been on dates with from dating apps, like, they'll take me to dinner, do all the nice things, and then right before we're about to leave, every single one of them have always asked me, oh, well, do you want to come back to my place and stay the night?
Okay.
I'm like, 3 hours ago.
Okay.
That's not happening. And I've yet to go out with someone who hasn't asked me either to come over at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, or after dinner being like, oh, well, I bought you dinner, so you should come over and give me what I want.
Do they say that or they imply that?
They're implying it.
Okay. Well, so the good news is you're getting attention, you're kind of making my point too.
Right.
And it's not that all guys are shitty. It's just like, communication, I don't know. And like, yeah, maybe they're looking for the easy hookup. We are in a hookup culture. It's not just men. Women are looking to hook up too on first dates. That's fine. And that's fine that you don't want to. And you just simply say no. Also, like, maybe don't go out to dinner on first dates,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like just because a guy buys you dinner, you are anyway required to do anything more. But like, it just, it's easier to get to know someone when the expectations are lower, when it's just a more chill cup of coffee or a drink, and, and maybe just limit the built-in expectation.
Right.
So, the downside is this process can be exhausting. And as far as going out with these two girls, I think you need to work on not comparing yourself to them, and certainly stop calling yourself that around your friends. And it's only going to hurt your friendship again with your friend, and it's only going to make you feel worse about yourself. You're doing that as some sort of self-pity tactic. It's not productive. Nothing good's coming from it.
No.
And trust me, the energy you give off when you do that is one of like less than, and people can sense that type of energy. Yeah, don't get into fights and disagreements with guys that you don't need to waste any more. Like they've already told you they're not worth your energy, and then you just need to move on. And when it feels exhausting from time to time, just put a pause in the dating. And I still believe there are guys out there, and plenty of guys who aren't going to try that. You just have to weed through them. All right, and now we're back. All right, but in your words, from what you remember, elaborate a little bit more on your big concern, and ultimately, what was the advice I gave you?
So basically, my concern was I was living with my two best friends at the time, and we were all single, and we would go out. We live outside of Austin, Texas, and so we would always go out downtown. You know, UT's campus is there, lots of frat boys. You know, I thought that was my type back then. And we would go out and we would meet these guys at the bar, and they would always be like, "Oh my gosh, hello, nice to meet you. Who are your friends over there?" I'm like, "Cool. So this is how it's going to be." We would go dancing because we like to two-step, and I would be the one on the sidelines holding the drinks while my friends danced. And at that time, I was I guess I consider I was like at a low point in my life is when I wrote into you, and you basically said, from my remembering, even though it was years ago, you said to basically stop comparing myself to my friends because the boys that I'm going after is probably not the type of man I want, in a sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
From what I remember, I can't remember exactly, but
that sounds
was
about right.
The whole ordeal of that.
Yeah, I mean, you're hanging out in a college town, kind of with college guys, and truthfully, your friends are probably fuckboy magnets. I'm guessing your friends probably have a lot of unpleasant stories about all these men who gave them attention over you.
Right, they did.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was so jealous of them because I was craving that attention so bad, and I just wasn't receiving it. And I was like a serial, like, Hinge dater, I guess you could say.
Sure, yeah.
I would go on dates all the time, but then I guess my problem was I would get the ick really fast, and nothing really ended up working out. And then
are you still
here I am
friends with these girls?
I am. So it's funny because one of them, my best friend, she just got married last month.
Oh, there you go. Off
and
the
the
market.
other one got, the other one got married 2 years ago, and she just had a baby last month as well.
Oh, congratulations to your friend. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm going to be cynical here, but I'm going to offer you perspective, and don't tell your friends. But statistically, one of them's going to get divorced, So if you're a wee bit jealous that maybe they're a little bit, how old are you?
26.
You're only 26. So one of your friends, they got married at 23, which is, young, not the end, it's not that young. Who knows what's going to happen? You're only 26. I don't know. How do you feel now about your dating life, and where, how do you feel? You mentioned you were in a low point when you first called in. Are you in a low point now? Are you more confident in yourself? What's dating been like for you?
I am 10 times better where I'm at now than I was a couple of years ago. At that point in my life, I wasn't really seeing like the whole perspective about like my self-worth and what I deserve in a partner. And now I am in a very committed relationship, and I moved in with him in October.
Love. Great.
And I'm trying to get a ring on my finger now.
How long you been dating?
April will be 2 years.
Why are you trying to get a ring on your finger? Just so you know that from my POV, I hate the sound of that for you.
I know. The only reason why I say that is because my boyfriend turns 30 next year.
Oh my God.
And he said he doesn't want to be an old parent, and so he doesn't want to have kids really past 30.
Okay.
Which is understandable because his parents are older. And
so what does that mean for you?
Because
he's 30. He's about to turn 30.
He turns 29 this year.
Okay.
And then next year he'll be 30.
So and when did he say this to you?
Since the beginning.
Okay. So 2 years ago when he was 27, he told you, I don't want to be an old parent. I don't want to have kids after 30. Now he's approaching 29. And per
Mhm.
what he said, and we all say the dumbest shit throughout our 20s and in our teens, but per what he said, the moment he turns 31, kid or not, he's done. He's going to walk into a doctor's office and he's going to say, cut it off, doc. Just snip, snip, snip. I mean, vasectomy, not the penis. But
Right.
is that what he said? I mean, that's absurd. You know, like, I don't know why he said what he said.
Yeah.
Life comes at you fast. He said that at an age when 30, even though it was 3 to 4 years away, felt forever away for him. We never feel like
Right.
we're going to turn 30. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, fuck, I'm turning 30 this year. So just ignore what he said, I guess is my advice in that department.
Okay.
It's the dumbest thing in the world. You know, whatever. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, hey, I love the fact that he has a desire to be a father sooner than later. That's good news. But
Yeah.
other than that, how is the relationship? How connected do you feel? Like, do you feel like you're on the same page? Do you guys fight a lot? Do you not fight? Do you know, where are we in terms of the relationship?
We don't really fight. I can probably count on one hand the amount of times we've gotten in like an argument, and even then it was over something really stupid.
Great. So you don't fight, but do you like how on the same page do you feel? Do you feel like every time you know, are feeling conflict, or do you feel like you are communicating any frustrations or differences with him and you don't fight because you guys talk through them? Or do you not fight because you have a tendency of just being like, it's not a big deal, and then you not communicate that?
So in the beginning, there was a little bit of conflict because we did have different communication styles.
Sure.
And a couple months ago, we kind of sat down and we kind of needed to talk about one, communication styles, two, what he needs in a relationship that I need to give him and what he needs to give me, and vice versa, because obviously we want to have a successful relationship and we are talking about engagement and marriage. And so we kind of wanted to have that conversation, even though we should have had it in the beginning. We were just in the honeymoon phase. We just kind of forgot to talk about that stuff. But in the beginning, he was having a hard time expressing his feelings. When he would get frustrated, he would kind of just like shut out and not really talk to me. And there was a point where we didn't really talk for 3 days because he was having such a bad day. And now the second he's having a moment that he just needs time to himself, he'll let me know and I'll just let it be. And it's been
Great.
like smooth sailing ever since.
Right. Now, in terms of like engagements and things like that, what conversations have you guys had?
So I know for a fact that we're going to get engaged this year. I just don't know exactly when, because we both said that we want to start trying to have babies in 2025. So this will be the year of engagement because we want to get married in Vegas, because my parents got married in Vegas and his parents got married in Vegas, and both of the chapels that they got married in are still there.
Great.
So we kind of want to keep the tradition going.
Love that.
So
Yeah.
we do talk about it often.
So what's the problem?
There really is no problem.
Okay, great.
I'm calling in because you guys always say, like, when I was listening to the episode with Kylie, like, you guys say to like call in and like always like give an update.
Oh yeah, no, we
And
appreciate the
Kylie's
update for sure.
episode-
Yeah.
Yeah, Kylie's episode inspired me because she, like, from an outside perspective, she just looked like she had like the perfect relationship with Avon or whatever. And then there's the downfall, right? And it just reminded me of how I was in that position 3 years ago, where I would date somebody and then find out that they were cheating. And it was just traumatic in a sense. And I was like, well, I should write in and let them know that, like, I followed Nick's advice
there's
and
hope.
my mom's advice.
Yeah, there's
and
hope. There's hope on the other
Yeah,
side. Yeah.
there is hope, and I love it.
That's great. So
I love the hope.
So
and
you
I love
don't
the advice.
you well, I feel like you slightly misrepresented yourself a few minutes ago when you said you're trying to get engaged. That came across as almost like your boyfriend doesn't really want to get engaged, but you do, and you're not on the same page. But it sounds like you guys are on the same page.
Okay, true.
Okay.
We are on the same page. I
Okay.
definitely misrepresented myself there.
Okay, well, that's all right. Well, we cleared it up. So everything's great. It sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well,
It's
what
amazing.
do you think was the? All right. So for the people listening, other than my advice, and it sounds like your mom was helpful too, but from your POV, what was the moment or moments or what really happened that made you actually change your perspective on dating? You know, like, how did you get out of your rut?
My mom. There was a point, December of 2021, and I just ended a bad situationship, and I kind of felt like I was really at rock bottom. Like I felt the most depressed I had in my life, and I went to my mom and I just started bawling my eyes out. I was like, I don't understand why nobody loves me or likes me, or I'm not good enough for anyone. And my mom's just like, what are you doing to date? Like, are you on dating apps? I'm like, yeah, I'm on dating apps. She goes, delete that. Like, we do not want to have those dating apps on your phone. That is so toxic. And if you want to find like your forever person, you need to go out and you need to find them, I guess, naturally. And she said, just give yourself 3 to 4 months, focus on yourself, go to the gym, work out, clear your mind, like eat healthy, do things that make you happy. And she's like, I promise you someone will come along. And lo and behold, April of 2022, my boyfriend came along, and that was just like, that was it for me.
Great.
And
well,
we've been together ever since.
The big advice, and I love your mom's advice, we often give it on this show as well, is you got out of your head when it came to dating. You stopped prioritizing, and more importantly, you stopped thinking that all of your value came from being someone's girlfriend, and that, at your lowest, it sounds like you assumed that all of your value came from being someone's girlfriend because you saw all your other friends be someone's girlfriend, and you wanted that validation, and you got out of your head. You put a pause on being someone's girlfriend. You started focusing on you. You got in, whatever you did, you invested in yourself. You did things that made you feel better as a person. You did things that made you feel more confident as a person and more attractive as a person. And you sort of projected that energy outward rather than the energy of desperation, which people sense.
Right.
When you prioritize being someone else's girlfriend or partner over anything else, that energy comes out of you loud and clear to people. And it's a very unattractive energy. It's a stench of desperation. But on the flip side, that person who doesn't really need it, isn't that interested in it, and is more focused on themselves, and and I don't mean like in a narcissistic, selfish way, but like investing in themselves over, prioritizing being someone's girlfriend, is someone that it's attractive. People don't always do that. It comes across as your time is limited. It's not for everyone, and then all of a sudden the people around you in your orbit see you as more valuable, harder to get, things like that. And then from men's standpoint, that is very attractive. And all you had to do was do, and it just becomes that much more obvious. So good for you. Yeah, I love, thanks for sharing that story, because it's tough to do, and to hear people who actually apply that is great, because comparing yourself to your girlfriends is a much harder task than just thinking to yourself, what makes me feel like my best self, and doing those things.
Right.
So thank you very much for the update.
Of course. Thank you.
Let us know when he pops the question, or maybe when he knocks you up, one or the other.
Hopefully it's both.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Well, appreciate the update.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Y'all have a good one.
You too. Take care. All right. We have another writer enter, Allie?
Yes, we do. So this is from Jane, who joined us on episode 671. The question was, am I delulu for wanting to date someone who's in a relationship? So for context, Jane at the time had been living in Canada. She went to a wedding in France. She met this guy at the wedding in France. He was living in the Netherlands. They hit it off. They were maybe a little flirty, but they went back to their respective countries. She was in a relationship which ended. She ended up moving to the Netherlands, met back up with this guy from the wedding, but he was then in a new relationship, but they met up, and even the girlfriend was making some comments like, you guys have like almost this like love story that never went into fruition. So she was like, why am I getting these feelings for this guy now that I'm in the Netherlands? I know he's in a relationship. What do I do?
All right, let's play a quick clip before we get to this written update to remind people of the original call.
So I am calling because I would like to know if I am delusional for wanting to date a guy that currently has a boyfriend. I know that you help people with this type of question before. I don't know if I'm just forgetting your advice or choosing to not listen to it. But last summer, I met a guy, we'll call him Tim, at my best friend's wedding in France, and he's the cousin of the groom. I should preface that I was in a relationship during that time, and that relationship with my now ex was, it was very rocky prior to the wedding, and we talked about breaking up, but we weren't actually officially broken up yet. So I was not operating as if I had like a free pass to do whatever I wanted. And 3, we also both live in different continents at the time. So he lived in the Netherlands, to be specific, and I just didn't see why we would date long distance. So nothing happened. The next day after the wedding, we had lunch and breakfast together before heading out. Everything was fine. We hugged, exchanged contact information, never spoke again. And I thought about reaching out, but I kind of talked myself out of it, and I lost confidence, and I didn't hear from him either. Flash forward to now, I actually ended up moving to the Netherlands because my best friend also lives here. And I found out recently that Tim, so the initial guy from the wedding that I liked, did like me, and he was upset to hear that I was actually talking to somebody else from the wedding. And I know this sounds like a bit of a hindsight 2020 statement, but I was actually bummed to hear that because I did like him too, and I wanted to date him, but a part of it is kind of my fault because I didn't actually reach out when I knew that he did like me, because that's when I found out that he was dating someone else and he came out as bi, so now he has a boyfriend. So from a couple of weeks ago, I actually saw him and both the guy that I tried to date, both at the same event. This was organized by our friends that got married, so it was not a coincidence. And when I was actually talking to Tim, like all the feelings came back. And I don't know, this is where the delusional part of me came in, where I was like, I want to date you. And I selfishly was not thinking of the fact that he had a boyfriend. I was just focused on like, how can I get this guy to date me? And his boyfriend was actually at this event. I was never introduced to him, but I heard later that he made a comment to somebody about how when Tim and I were talking, it seemed as though like we were like old loves talking again or reconnecting. And anyway, not to read into that too much because I don't know what that actually means coming from this guy, but it kind of just, it put me in a place where now I'm like, I want to be able to say something. I feel like I've also gained a lot more confidence since, moving and just kind of picking my life back up again. So I don't know if I'm being really selfish about this or if it's actually valid to say something that and express that I have feelings for him. And I did from before as well.
So what you have is chemistry with him, and that chemistry is creating feelings, because those feelings you expressed kind of happened when you saw him, and then you saw his smile and you felt his energy, and it kind of reminded you of the chemistry that you guys seem to naturally have. Some people naturally have chemistry. Chemistry is great and important, but it's not as reliable, as I always say, as most people give it credit for. Just the way you tell this story. It's like, I saw him and it was a moment, and that moment created a feeling for you. Even you said, and in that moment, I knew I immediately wanted to date him. Well, in that moment, you knew that you wanted him, but what you are feeling right now is based off of this organic and natural chemistry that you have, which is a nice little foundation to start something, but it's not, I don't think it's a justifiable reason enough to complicate his life and try to break up a relationship. I think it would be selfish of you to reach out to him right now and drop this information on him. You're only going to make things more complicated for yourself. It's only going to frustrate you. It's a version of lying to yourself about what you should have done. It's you trying to rewrite the past to justify what you want to do in the present. And so since you want to do the right thing, and if the right thing, if you agree with me, is to just let it go, not say anything, not kind of drop this on him and give him another thing to consider or another thing to maybe think that he made a mistake on, just let him play this relationship out. And then at the time, you have mutual friends, you're going to be in each other's lives, and start dating other people, and stop telling yourself, he's perfect and it should have been me and stuff like that. Just say, hey, this is a person I have chemistry with, but I'm going to have chemistry with a lot more people. So I'm not going to obsess over this one. Well, keep us posted on your love life as it moves along. And if things change, let us know.
I will definitely know if anything changes. But for now, I will take your advice and I will just kind of focus on moving on.
All right. Sounds great.
Thank you very much, Nick.
All right.
And congratulations on your baby.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Jane writes, it's crazy because at the time I called, I knew what Nick was going to say, and it was going to be very simple advice. But admittedly, I now realize I called because deep down, I wanted Nick to say that me and this guy were meant to be and was seeking validation that I was reading certain signs correctly. After calling, I took Nick's advice to heart. I didn't contact this guy at all, and I had a light bulb moment one day where I realized the real problem I was facing was that I was having a hard time adjusting to a new country and was trying to find a, quote, home in someone else. I've heard Nick talking about this in a previous episode a while ago to someone who called in and identified on the call that they were basically just lost trying to find their place in a new location they moved to. I recognized that was my situation and totally dismissed how beautiful but challenging relocating not only to another city and country, but also an entire continent can be. Once I had this realization, I started just being more present. I made more friends, started doing more activities, and overall have been happier with minor bumps along the way. I really appreciate the advice that was given. Again, as simple as it was very effective in more ways than Nick and you all as the household know, because I was able to have a true reality check into what the real problem was, and I was able to pivot a lot more quickly than I probably would have without the tough love. Appreciate all the help as always, and thank you for investing your time.
Love. Great. Yeah, I mean, listen, when we put ourselves in uncomfortable environments or situations, or when we stretch our comfort zone, well, we get uncomfortable. And then it's like our body almost reacts. You know, when we put our body through stress, it tries to find comfort. And so I think when it comes to these types of situations, yeah, it makes sense for us to find comforts in things that we are familiar with, especially when we're surrounded by the unfamiliar. So it's good that, that she recognized that.
It's also natural too, to, in a way, like similar to our first written update, like romanticize things or have it be worth it in some way. So I'm sure maybe in her head, at least I would be doing something like, it was worth the tough breakup I just had. And it was worth moving from Canada to the Netherlands. And it was worth like waiting for this guy that I met at a wedding because look at what happened. And we ended up in love. And it's like, you can almost get caught too much in the fairy tale or trying to make it work out for yourself. But it can work out and be quote unquote worth it even without him. Like, it sounds like she's been happier. She's pushing herself. She's making new friends. Like, I think she'll still look back at this chapter in the Netherlands as an overall positive for her, regardless of this guy who is still, it seems like he's still in a relationship.
Okay, well, let's get to another caller. Welcome back, Victoria.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So you originally called episode 543, so a little bit ago, and you called because your mom was willing to financially support you and your boyfriend and help you guys buy a house, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And his pride was...
about a year ago now.
Yeah. And his pride was resistant to that. And you called in for
very much so.
You called in for some advice. I don't remember exactly what I said. I do remember the call. I think it was something along the lines of "fuck him." Probably was a little more articulate when it came to that. Let's play a quick clip to remind our audience, for those who don't remember or didn't hear that episode of your original call. How's it going?
Hey, I'm Victoria. I'm 26. And my mom wants to buy us a house, but my boyfriend has too much pride.
Okay.
Yeah. And
we're
gonna get
married. Boyfriend. So
yeah,
why can't your mom buy you a house?
Well, okay. So she would buy the house. It would be in her name. And then once we get married, she would gift it to us. So we just moved from Texas to Miami, and the real estate's very different from Texas. And, for instance, like my boyfriend really wants a house. He's sick of condo living. He hates elevators. And I understand that. But the houses that he can afford himself are in very dicey areas.
Sure.
I mean, I don't want to live in a unsafe area. I'm not going to put myself in a position where I feel like I can get robbed. Like,
yeah,
I'm just not going to do that.
I guess how big of a problem is this? He's like, no, I refuse. I'll break up with you. We'll never get married.
No.
Where are we at with the...
So where we at right now is, at first she was like, maybe him and I will go half, but again, like he can't match her on that, and like she doesn't want to do a mortgage, like she just wants to do cash, like that's just the way she is, and like she would want to do that for me, but also for him as well, because this is going to be my husband eventually.
So that's what I feel like. I feel like that should just be the focus. I mean, you know, all the planning aside, you're not married. You're just not. And until you're not even engaged.
Yeah.
Okay. And
no, I know that. Yeah.
and that's not to necessarily throw in his face or whatever. It is simply the reality that you two are boyfriend and girlfriend. You have a mom who is financial in a very favorable financial position to do something generous for her daughter, especially if she does end up getting married. In the meantime, your mom is simply just making a financial and real estate investment. And I'm assuming your mom will work with you on A, the type of house that you might want to live in, but B, my guess is she might have input on whether she thinks this is a good buy or, you know, if your mom, I don't know why your mom has all this cash lying around, but chances are she's not bad with money, and she knows what she's doing. And so why isn't this more of a decision between you and your mom? Knowing that if your boyfriend decides to take the next step and propose, and you guys decide to take another next step and get married, that you have a house, and then you guys can, you know, why?
I agree. I agree. Basically, like he wants something in like his name. Like he's just sick of paying rent, and the way he's seeing it is like even so, it's not really mine if like your mom's buying it. And I'm like trying to explain to him, like, eventually it's going to be ours. She's just helping us, and she wants to put us in like the best financial position to not to pay a mortgage.
Ask each other how each other feels about it and do it without judging. So how does this make you feel? And give him space to express himself and listen, and don't fucking respond at first. Make him feel good about that you believe in his ability to do that. And I think that can go a long way with him, like not making a big deal about your mom just wants to do something nice for you. And then once you get over that hurdle, and then as far as where you guys live, you know, you're gonna have to decide. You're gonna have to work through that regardless.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know,
what do you think the 26 and a 28-year-old should live? Like, where do you guys?
I mean, I would have lived in a condo in South Beach, and I would have had some fun. You know, but not. I don't know anything about him, and it's not crazy he doesn't want to, you know, because like, you know, my guess is you're not going to move that far inland. You might be like a 20-minute Uber ride away, and he might be thinking, I don't know, I don't go out that much, and I'd rather like, I'm going to spend most of my time in the house, so I want to love my house, and if I want to drive 20 minutes to the clubs, I'll take an Uber. I would lean in as much as you can on trying to really make him feel important and really make him feel like you value him and you believe in him and you're in awe of how hard he works, and really go for that for maybe like a week or two. And then who knows, it wouldn't shock me. He was like, you know what, babe, honestly, like, let's just have your mom do this thing.
Okay. And I can see him coming around. Usually he'll talk to his father, and then his father's like put some sense into him, and then
spend the next 2 or 3 weeks letting him know how much you believe in him and make him feel like a king.
Okay.
But like a hard-working king who wants to protect his people and really cares about, you know, like, and just, you know, see what happens. I'm just curious. Honestly, it's like an experiment. All right, we're back. But yeah, in your words, what was the advice I gave you? And did you take it? Did you not take it? And where are we now?
Yeah, I did take your advice. Basically, what you said was, well, this is a decision between your mother and yourself. You and your boyfriend are not married, so you should not be making these types of decisions based upon not being married. And your mother's doing something very nice for you. And then basically from there, throughout the time, just gas him up, give him, just make him feel great, give him that like good masculinity feeling, because that's basically kind of what it's stemming down from, is just his ego. So great news. I mean, we did purchase a condo. It Congrats. Is like a dream.
Mom helped.
And yes, mom helped.
Okay.
I remember you asked last time, like, I don't know why your mom has all this cash like just laying around. She sold her building in the Bronx, and now she's just putting her money places.
Oh, so she made a nice investment back in the day in some New York property.
Back in the 80s.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well,
Back
good.
in the 80s, the warehouse was right next to Yankee Stadium now, so she got very lucky.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. Pop off, mom.
Yeah.
So, and you and the boyfriend are still together?
Still together. We're actually booking to be engaged this year.
Okay.
It's funny because I'm the one who doesn't know what I want. It's like a weird, I think I wrote in my email just like how to approach that because I'm so like ignorant. I'm just like, oh, shape. But I know like there's so many things that go into it.
Are you talking about
So
like engagement rings?
yeah, that's
Yeah. Who gives a shit?
engagement rings. Yes.
If it's not a priority for you,
I
then who cares? If you were a person or a lady who had a particular preference to rings, then great. But if you're not a big jewelry girl and you don't care, then who gives a shit?
well, I do care as far as like if it's gonna look good on my finger because I have
Okay.
man hands.
I'm sure they're fine. Have you guys gone ring shopping together? Or actually, don't even go
We've
together.
actually
Go by
like
yourself.
been looking on.
Go with your mom. Go with girls. Go
Yeah,
find rings that you
yeah, I
like.
have been.
Yeah, there you go. And then be like, this is what I like. And then he can go when he's ready.
Well, that's our plan.
Yeah. What are some things that you did specifically when your mom bought you the condo to make him feel less threatened by your mom's financial support?
Well, we do split everything 50-50.
Okay.
So we're treating it like we're renting the place. And then just keeping him in the loop of everything because I know I wasn't giving like we weren't able to give him exact numbers because it was so new into the process. But once my mom realized what her finances were, this is what she'll be charging us every month. Are you okay with that? If not, then we'll have to do something else. But this is the situation that I'm in. I think this is the best thing for us, and
Does
truly, I'm
mom
gonna do
own
that.
does mom own the condo or do you own the condo?
Mom owns it. Yeah, mom owns it.
Okay. Is there any plans on like that turning over to you guys eventually, or is it just something that she owns and you are essentially just renting from your mom?
It's gonna come to me. It's just right now. She just bought it.
Okay.
It'll eventually go to me. It's at a certain point, but there's no set numbers or dates or anything like that.
Okay. Are you guys tracking, how much you guys are paying for rent and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, we're
What?
paying basically the same that we paid in our crappy old apartment.
Yeah, the only reason I say that is because right now he's renting, and you're renting. Your mom owns the building. So if there's no other agreement, then you guys are essentially just tenants of your mom.
I mean, every renovation that's being done is not coming out of our pockets. And so that's something that I think he's like, okay, I'm more appreciative of this situation now and type of thing. So
well, he's learned to appreciate the generosity of your mom now.
I think, yeah.
Well, that's good.
I mean, I said to him, I was like, "You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Well,
you're an idiot."
Did
and
you?
like,
Did you?
his
literally
friends
say?
Also were like, "What?"
Did you literally say that to him?
Oh yeah.
Well, have you?
Uh-huh.
Have you
I was
also?
like, you're an idiot.
Have you also like said nice things to him? Maybe other things.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Obviously, yes.
Well, I
but
don't
like,
know.
we have a joking manner of just like, what is going on in your head, man?
Yeah, man. Listen, like every guy wants to provide for the people. I mean, many men. I don't know. I can't speak for all. Want to provide for the people they love and take care of. And, that's not always easy to do. And when they don't have the opportunity to do that, yes, it can affect, things like their ego. Doesn't make them wrong. I mean, it's sometimes a bit misguided, but how they handle that matters. And he can, he'll have every opportunity to step up. Maybe your mom will always be feeding you guys money. And, that being said, there's a lot of ways that he can step up and work his ass off and support you guys. And that comes down to whether he wants to do that or not.
Hey, he's a big planner. I mean, he's already talking about how like plans for retirement, budgeting, finances, things like that. So he's very like type A, for lack of a better term. So I've been like, with those types of plans, I'm like, look, I trust you. I support you. You do you. I'm here to support you, whatever you want to do. So.
Okay.
And I told him like we can still save up to do that lake house idea that you've always wanted to do.
Love
like
that,
that's not like that's not an option anymore. Like now we
there
have
you
more
go.
money.
Well, not only that, because it sounds like you can save a little bit more on that end because, mom's been helpful with your primary residence. So there you go. Just channeling that energy in other directions. Yeah. So everything else seems pretty good.
Yeah, your advice does work a lot. I do thank you for that. I mean, my therapist the same way also was like, gas him up. Like he clearly wants to be a provider. Just gas him up.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Great. Well, glad to hear
So
everything's happy.
it.
Glad you have a nice little place. And
Yeah.
good luck to the both of you in the future.
Thank you. And congratulations again.
Thank
Your
you.
baby's beautiful. I just became an aunt,
Oh,
the
wonderful.
first aunt.
Congratulations.
So, so exciting.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, no, congratulations to you as well.
I appreciate it. Well, look forward to hearing what's next for you and your boyfriend.
Thank you. Hopefully next update will be engagement.
Hopefully. All right. We'll see. Take care.
Alrighty.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. Well, we have one more writer before we get to our juicy final update.
Yes, we do. So this is from Kayla, who was our texting office hours caller on episode 668 with Allie and AJ. She had gone on 2 dates with a guy who was in the Navy and wanted to basically shoot her shot for a third date because it kind of like the conversation had fizzled off. And she was just like, how do I kind of shoot my shot and go back on a third date with him?
All right. Let's play a quick clip for our writer. How's it going?
Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm 32 years old, and I went on 2 dates with a guy in the Navy, and I want to shoot my shot again for a third date.
Why do you feel like you need our help getting this third date?
Basically, yeah, so I matched with a guy on Hinge in September. So he was 32 as well, worked in the Navy. Even at the beginning, he didn't really seem like a day-to-day texter, but he was good at initiating plans. So he just like made the plan and we went on the date, which I'm fine with. Like I'm not a big texter either. So we only went on the 2 dates. The first date went well. It was dinner. He paid, good conversation. He was tall. I'm tall. So we need tall gentlemen, good looking, but like didn't know he was good looking. So I feel like that's the best kind of good looking, intelligent, like aligned values. It ended with a bit of an awkward kiss. And I will say like, I'm maybe kind of standoffish I can be, or I don't help the guy make the kiss easy, I guess. So if they don't go for it, it can kind of like linger. And I'm just kind of like, what are you doing? But he finished the kiss. It was fine. He followed up after that date and he said he had a really good time. I thought it was okay. So we went to dinner and then we went to a comedy club and he had booked the tickets in advance. He paid again. He came to pick me up. Very sweet, like gentleman, got out of the car. There was like some awkward silences at the comedy club portion, but it wasn't terrible. Like it was just one of those moments where it's just like, you don't know where the next performer is going to come on. So you don't know if you start like a big conversation or not. So I don't know if he also felt that, but I was thinking back on it, there were some awkward silences. So I texted him. I waited. So that was on the Friday. I waited over the weekend. I didn't hear from him again. So he didn't text me after that. And then I followed up on the Monday and I just said, hey, just on the journey to work, I wanted to say I had a really nice time Friday night. How was the rest of your weekend? Up to 5 days later.
No response to that particular message isn't that big of a deal.
This guy seems like he's maybe really just busy with work, even though it sucks. It's like, make time for me if you like me. Like, fuck work. But
based on what you're telling me.
But he's also on
Yeah.
active duty. Like that's
Yeah, but
pretty
I guess
gnarly.
that's true. He's on
I
active
do
duty.
think this relationship isn't totally dead yet, though. And I'm only saying this based on what you're telling me, is that like you had 2 nice dates. You sound like you felt like you maybe were a little awkward, not your best self. There were some moments you look back and thought,
Yeah.
I wasn't as relaxed and maybe push him away or X, Y, or Z, you know? And maybe, and chances are, I
Yeah.
feel like, you know, I'm sure maybe your friends would be like, oh no, you were amazing. Like we all know when we're not our best self. I know when I leave a room where I'm like, yep, nailed that. And sometimes it's like, they're going to be talking about me, you know? So he probably felt what you were feeling. And obviously he backed off a little bit, but he also replied, he doesn't hate you. Nothing bad happened. And he is busy, right? So like there's probably a world in which he might have gone on a third date and then just time passed. I guess what I'm saying, he's like, doesn't hate you. He probably didn't actively decide not to see you again. But like after you reached out and got busy, he got COVID. He was just more like, I don't know, maybe.
Sure.
Whatever.
Maybe not.
Yeah, in a way, it's like you have nothing to lose if you wanted to ask him out again. Like, I don't know, unless you were like really, really, I know that sounds ridiculous maybe, but if you were really into this guy and you were like, I'm going to just try again. And if he's not into it, that's going to tell me everything. In a way, wouldn't that give the next version of closure?
Yeah.
Like,
I think the big question is the new shot just another like, hey, I don't think she should
right,
send a,
right.
how about that date? I think it's more of
This is why I don't
a,
have a love show.
Hey,
Hey,
just checking in or
I think you kind of almost have to put yourself out there a little bit. Be like,
Yeah.
listen, I had a great first 2 dates. You can even call yourself out a little bit. And I don't know, like, I think it's subtle.
you could say I felt a little off or whatever.
Yeah. I wasn't, you could just be like, listen, I had a really nice time and I've been thinking a lot about our dates. And if you are up for it, I think I'd really like to see you again.
Lessons learned.
All right.
Thank you.
Don't stress yourself
Don't
out.
overthink it.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Put it away for a couple weeks. Reach back out, and then let us know if he replies.
Okay.
All right. Well, keep us posted. We
Good
definitely
luck.
want an update
Thank
whenever you do reach back out, or maybe you decide not to. We'll love to hear about
Okay.
that.
So Kayla writes, I'm so sorry for the delayed response. I've been abroad traveling. Thank you again for your great advice when I called. It really helped me self-reflect and gain clarity on what I wanted to do and how to go about it. I ended up taking October to January to travel, focus on work, and go on a few other dates. But I did reach out in the new year because the what if question was creeping in the back of my mind. I've attached an image of what I texted the guy and his response. I don't even know if his response is true, but as soon as I got the reply, I was able to totally let go of the what if and move on. Haven't thought about it much since. Wish I could get to that stage without feeling like I had to reach out. Thank you again. All of the best to everyone in the household. So she had texted, hey, stranger, I know we haven't talked in a while. Hope you're doing well. I've been wanting to try this Thai restaurant in Glasgow and would also like to see you again, mostly to witness your struggle with spicy food, winky face. If you're up for trying it, let me know. And then he said,
Hey, thanks for the message. Sorry I left things up in the air. I actually don't live in Scotland anymore, I'm afraid. And
damn.
that was that. All right. He's like, and
Boom.
absolutely no follow-up, maybe in the future, and I love that. I loved his response. And some might think it's curt or cold, but I hate it when people leave insincere, open-ended things. Oh, maybe in the future sometime when they don't like pleasantries, He's like, I don't live here anymore. Bye. Okay. All right. And that was the nicest fuck you ever that he sent. I appreciate it. Well, great. We put a bow on that. All right. Well, it's time for our last and most anticipated update. Again, caller from the Gypsy Rose episode. It's a tale of twists and turns. And I'm really curious what you all think. Because we kept going and then I thought it was solved and she's like, oh, there's more and more and more. So we shall see. But it's a doozy. Well, let's get to it. Welcome back, Charlotte.
Hey, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for calling in again. You were on one of our biggest episodes of all time, the Gypsy Rose episode. So for better or worse, everyone heard your plight.
That was nerve-wracking, to say the least.
You were wonderful. You were wonderful. And you were very generous with your vulnerability, and we appreciate that. But you were having concerns about not being able to keep up with your husband's sex drive. You were, and correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, but it seemed like out of nowhere, all of a sudden, your husband was all horned up.
Right.
Wanting to have sex constantly. You were thrilled with him making you feel desired and all that jazz, but you were having a hard time keeping up and feeling guilty turning down sex and things like that. And it sounded like it was getting in your head a little bit. And the more we probed, the more we maybe uncovered that it sounds like maybe there was some past, not maybe direct infidelity, but like some maybe shady business in the past where he was having maybe some conversations with other women that made you feel uncomfortable, et cetera, et cetera. And basically, it sounds like we came to the conclusion that maybe there were some underlying issues that you haven't really addressed with him. Does that sound accurate?
Right.
Let's play a quick clip for our audience in case we didn't cover everything in that little recap and bring everyone up to speed. How's it going?
Hi, Nick. My name is Charlotte. I'm 35 and I'm scared I cannot keep up with my husband's sex drive. He is 37 years old, and within the last 2 months, it's been like a complete 180 in regards to his initiating sex, his wanting sex, basically his sex drive, right? Been wanting it every single day almost. And he's been wanting to go again after he finishes. And this is completely different than the way it used to be. We've been together for 8 years, married for 3. I was always kind of the initiator, I was okay with that, right? At first I was a little nervous, like, ooh, is this gonna maintain like this? But it's worked out well for us. It's waxed and waned throughout the years. We have 3 kids. So obviously during pregnancy and postpartum, things slowed down. But we always get back to a place where I think both of us are comfortable. But within the last 2 months, it's been crazy.
Like a flip of a switch.
Much more he wants it.
Have you addressed it with him, or have you just gone with the flow?
Well, I've gone with the flow because, like obviously I'm a beneficiary here. I, can't complain.
Right.
But, I've asked him, like, basically, like, babe, this is crazy. Like, this is so unlike you. What's going on? And he kind of just is like, I don't know. Maybe it's a change in testosterone. I'm not 100% sure if he even really knows what's going on. The reason why I'm writing in, well, first, because since you're an older gentleman, I was like, maybe Nick knows there's some sort of change that happens in your late 30s that could cause this, but if not, then
I mean,
like how do I?
Yeah, like you said, it sounds drastic. Like you said, a flip of a switch.
Right.
That's a hard one. All I could say is maybe like compromise. See if be very honest and just be like, I think this is a little too much for me.
Right.
Do you know how he would react if you would just tell him like, listen, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Do you think that we can compromise to maybe this many times a week max, or, whatnot, to kind of have you both happy and find a medium for you guys?
Yeah, no, he's very understanding.
Okay.
And so if I communicated that with him, I'm sure he would not be like, absolutely not. Like, I need this. But I also like I want to please him.
Yeah, he's your husband, absolutely.
Yeah, but don't feel pressure.
Yeah.
Don't feel pressure because like that's your
Yeah.
partner. You're supposed to feel comfortable with your partner, and
Right.
if he loves you, he will do his best for you and make you happy. And so it goes both ways. It's not one way or the other. Like, you guys are in a marriage, so it's both ways.
He expressed it to me that even like, masturbating isn't doing it for him anymore. Like, he just needs the vagina. And
He needs you. Oh, yeah,
I'm
that
like,
makes sense.
if he's not getting mine, it's gonna go somewhere else.
I was thinking that's probably what you were thinking.
That's a fear.
It's like you're a fear that he might try to get it somewhere else. Right.
Yeah.
And have you expressed that insecurity to him?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
Well, I think it's okay to do that. I mean,
Okay.
it really is all about communication, and you have to be able to both, express, happiness to each other, admiration, all the, the compliments, but, even in marriage, even in 8-year relationships, things change. As
He's not a mind reader.
Yeah,
so.
he's not a mind reader.
Right.
And we have to know what our partners are insecure about. You just need to talk to them. And like Gypsy said, compromise, and you have the right to say no. I mean, I hate the idea that you're at any point having sex with your husband out of fear for how he might respond.
Right.
So I want you to always feel
really
comfortable.
happening.
Okay,
Right,
good.
okay.
Yeah.
So just talk to
definitely
him,
not.
see what he has to say, pay attention to his answers, and then give us an update, because we love a good update.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right. Well, hopefully this was helpful.
It was. Yeah.
Okay,
No, I just have to communicate.
Okay.
Sit him down.
And it's going to be okay.
Bring it
Lead
up.
with love, compliment him, make him feel good, babe. Love it. It's good. It's fire,
No, it is. Right. I can't complain.
Yeah.
But
it's
I
still
think it's the fact that you have this thought in the back of your head that is messing. You're just too much. You're thinking too much about it, and so you can't really enjoy it. You think there's something wrong, and so you're like, there's so much sex because there's something wrong, and you can't be like, there's so much sex because we're just like we just reconnected and we're feeling each other. It's this thing that's in the back of your head, so you got to remove that from the back of your head, and then I think maybe it will be a little different.
Talk to your husband tonight. Communicate with him. Get on the same page, and just make sure you feel like you guys understand each other, and go from there. All right. So, what was the advice that we offered you, in your words, and where are we now? And what did you do with that? And was it helpful or not? Did we ruin your life? All that fun stuff.
No. So basically, the advice that you gave me was I need to speak to my husband. I need to be open and honest with him and tell him that I was feeling triggered basically by this change, and that I had some fears that if I couldn't keep up with it, that he might look elsewhere, because of what had happened in the past, especially because in the past when things were a little dicey with that other woman, there was an increase in his sex drive. So it was just, I was seeing a pattern, and it was triggering, and basically just be open and honest, lead with love. And so literally that night, I went to him and spoke to him, basically saying what I just said, that I was feeling triggered because what had happened. And he was very kind. He always is when I come to him most of the time. Actually, yeah, not always, most of the time, with my open, honest feelings about that part of our life. What happened happened. And he told me I had nothing to worry about, that he's not going to step outside the marriage. He's never stepped outside the marriage, doesn't want to step outside the marriage. So, and that I should not ever be nervous about turning him down if I don't want to, have sex, if I'm not feeling up to it.
That's great. How did that make you feel?
It made me feel good. I think, at the end of the day, I had to kind of sit there and ponder, why is it driving me so crazy? And I guess it's because I don't understand why it's increased, but maybe I never will, and I don't need to. And there is no reason, right? It is what it is.
I mean,
I should enjoy it.
I'm not a medical professional at all. But I suspect a guess of mine would be that, as things can fluctuate.
Right.
As women, I'm asking a question. I'm assuming that there are certain times in your life where you feel a little bit more of a sex drive than other times you don't.
Yeah, that's right.
Men are very different than women.
With the flow of the hormone.
Yeah, there are some similarities. I've had periods of just, I don't know, just not. It's not quite there, and other times, maybe so. Have you been checking in more with him? I mean, it's great that you do have that conversation. Did that open the gates of just more ongoing communication? Because it's great that you were able to do that, but it was one of, I guess, a red flag a little bit that we almost had to, because when you called in, our first question was like, well, have you talked with your husband about this? And you were like, no, and I'd love in the future for that to be a more natural thing for you, a more common thing for you and your husband when you are feeling quote unquote triggered, or or just a thought pops in your head, having a comfort level with your husband to just check in before it gets to the point where you're triggered, where you're really ruminating and worrying and getting in your head and things like that.
So that feels like a lifetime ago, that conversation, because we've been on an emotional roller coaster since then. So a lot has happened.
Oh,
it's been crazy. So that was beginning of January.
Yeah, January 5th or something.
Yeah, around a week after that, we got into a pretty bad argument, and he actually told me that he wanted a divorce during it.
Wait, what?
So
what?
yes.
What was the argument about?
Crazy. It seems so stupid superficially, but I think, after us discussing, a lot had been leading up to it, and it was almost the straw that broke the camel's back. His mother was in town staying with us, and unfortunately, I do not have a mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship that I would like. We're not simpatico, I guess. We don't see eye to eye. She doesn't really respect our boundaries. She's just very controlling. So she was in town staying with us. And, I have 3 children. We just moved into a house back in April of last year. So we're still getting things settled. We specifically moved into a 4-bedroom house so each of our kids could have their own room. And while she was here, without talking to anyone, she decided that the boys, my 5-year-old and my 3-year-old, are going to share a room. So she moved my 3-year-old's furniture and clothes into my 5-year-old's room.
How long was she supposed to stay there for?
So she was supposed to be there for 3 weeks.
Why?
Didn't make it 3 weeks. She just, we want her to spend time with the kids. She lives out of state. She comes and stays with us ever since we've had kids. She'll come and she'll stay with us for week 2, 3 weeks at a time. And she's always been very much like this. And, usually I can just shake it off. It's just chalk it up to her. This is who she is, but it's never gotten this bad. She's never made assumptions and done things like this before, where she's just I'm going to move the kids' rooms. So I came home from work saw that was like, well, that's weird. So I always had problems with her and enforcing boundaries. And, I don't feel like it's my job to have to communicate with her. I've always asked my husband to communicate with her on my behalf. And he, hasn't really. So this was kind of like the final straw. So our argument, even before the argument, we had a pretty good conversation about it. And I was like, did she even ask you if she could do this? Or did she just assume that she could do this? And he was like, my mom knows not to bother me. It didn't even seem to bother him that she had done this. Super strange. So, he's like, look, if you want to move it back, when she leaves, I'll help you move it back. It's no big deal. And I was like, I wanted him to just nip it in the bud. Like, ask her to please stop. And when she's here with us, just be a grandmother, be present with the grandkids, have fun with the grandkids, don't worry about doing things to the house. Don't worry about like all these weird things that don't matter. Like, I want you to just be a grandma, So I was pretty hyped up by the time I had the argument. I had been, obsessing over it because she had done a few other things that really irked me. She rearranged my whole pantry. She rearranged the thing where stuff was in my kitchen. I was just like ready to explode. So I can recognize that what I did and the way I communicated it during the argument it was wrong, and I shouldn't have done it this way. But I gave him an ultimatum. I told him that either he needs to tell her that enforce this boundary, tell her when she's here she cannot move things around and she is just here to be a grandma and take care of the kids and spend time with the kids, or if she's in town, I'm not around. And he didn't like that. All he heard was that when my mom's in town, you're not going to be here. And then he, spiraling, being like, you don't like my mom. You're putting me between me and my mom. You're making me choose between you and my mom. And then it started coming up with him. He does this when we argue anyways. He starts bringing up like past issues he's had with things I've done.
Well, how did we go?
Communicated with me.
I mean, I know you've recognized that maybe that wasn't the best ultimatum to communicate, but
right.
how did you go from being frustrated to immediately saying, I won't even be here?
I'm very overwhelmed. Being a working mom with 3 kids, I unfortunately have been very reactive. I was obsessing over it for a week, talking about it with my friends for a week, getting amped up about it for a week.
Were you talking with your husband?
Like, oh.
Yeah, but were you talking with your husband about it?
We had one conversation where he told me that he would help me move everything back when she left.
Sure, yeah. And I didn't like his, so
he didn't tell me what I wanted to hear.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So it sounds like you and your husband aren't the best communicators with each other. And the one thing I heard when you told me that is that there's a difference between agreeing about something and then recognizing in a relationship that something is a priority to your partner. Even if you don't fully agree, recognizing that it's an opportunity to support and step up and support your partner. And you were saying, hey, husband, this bothers me. And he was saying, listen, it's not a big deal. And so I get why that was triggering you, because you didn't want to hear that wasn't a big deal. You wanted to hear, I understand that frustrates you,
Right.
And, it was easier for him to dismiss your needs rather than face his mom. That's just the reality. Right. So I totally get why you're frustrated, but you have to be able in that moment to not overreact, to not get triggered and say, hey, listen, I don't think you're hearing me. I understand you, even if you don't agree with me, I really want your support here. I would like for you to back me up here. It's a big deal to me. How helpful of a parent is he in the house? How present is he?
He's okay. I always feel like he could do more, and he thinks he does more than most. So, we have disagreements
compared
there.
To who? Who's most?
Right. I don't know. We have a few dad friends, and I guess he thinks he does more than them. But, at the end of the day, I don't really know how to compare it. But
The problem, it sounds like, is he doesn't mind mom coming home and being a mom, even to him.
He loves it. He becomes a man child when she's here. He completely checks out when she's in town. It's actually
so you just have to
become very unattracted to him when she's here.
Like when your mom's here, you change your behavior, and I don't think you should call him a man child, but you have to find ways to articulate that, like, not only like when your mom comes here, she takes over. I don't find it as helpful as you do. And quite honestly, it makes me feel like she doesn't respect what we have here. You don't seem to mind. I get it. It's your mom, but she's not my mom. And either way, you don't have to agree with me, but I just need your support.
Right.
You know? And what conversations have you had with mom-in-law?
None.
Okay.
None.
Well, I understand it would be nice to have your husband step up, but he's not, you need to do it. Be like, hey, Betty, like, I would really appreciate it if you would ask before you start moving my kids' furniture. We love having you. We love you being a grandma, but I can't have you come in here and rearrange things. Now, it might catch her off guard. Maybe she thinks she's being helpful. It's not the craziest thing for grandma to come in and think, well, I'm an adult. These kids can share a room. I'm going to need my own room. I'm here for 3 weeks. It's not the craziest thing. And what pisses you off is that she didn't even ask.
Right.
And maybe you said, it's like, listen, it's not even that. Like, obviously it makes sense you have your own room, but like, can you just like check in with us, before you like move my kids? I would like to talk to my kids and like, hey, grandma's here. We're going to move the furniture. Maybe they can be helpful, but like, I can't just have you come in here and take over. Give her the benefit of the doubt. Like, I know you're trying to be helpful and we do really appreciate your help. But even though when you're trying to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could check in with me before you rearrange our cabinets or change things that, we've taken the time to do. The same way I would, before, I wouldn't just come into your house and start moving things around. And you, in the nicest possible way, you got to open those lines of communication with mom-in-law.
Right. No, I've come to that realization now that it's like, I can't really, it's on me now to be that communicator with her, for sure.
I do think you and your husband, there's some communication that needs to be improved, No,
100%.
Where's the sex drive with him now these days?
Oh, it's still there.
And but like him, where this asking for divorce, that's an aggressive statement.
Yes.
How serious did it feel? Like, was that just?
I spent a week preparing myself. Like, I was Googling like divorce lawyers. Like,
and
I 100% thought this was happening.
Is this just a coincidence that just was on the heels of the sex drive and you worried about if there was something else there? Do you trust him? Do you feel like he's being real with you?
So there's more. So after that argument, we spent a week. Well, he spent a week giving me the silent treatment.
All while grandma's there?
So that fight happened and he got her a ticket home. And she like heard us fighting about her. So he bought her a ticket home the next day. So, and then after that, he spent a week giving me the silent treatment. And I kept kind of trying to approach him and be like, are you in a like emotional state where we can have a constructive conversation? Because you said some things, you told me you didn't want to be with me anymore. You told me there's no going back from this. You told me you think about starting over and it actually sounds comforting. So like, I need to know where we stand. And he's an overthinker and he gets himself really angry. And every time I would try to have that constructive conversation, he would amp back up and get really mad. And so it wasn't going anywhere. So for like a week, he kind of didn't speak to me except when I like pushed. So I stopped pushing. And he told me that when he was ready, he would talk to me. So I backed off, but he still wanted to have sex. He actually even came up to me one night and was like, hey, can we have sex, but just sex? And I was just, it was like shocking, made me feel terrible. Told him no, obviously. And then he pushed again like a week afterwards. And then during this time, he did not help with any of the childcare. He did not help with any of the housework. he was coming home and I could tell he had been drinking. Like, it was just like, I couldn't even recognize this person. I don't know who he became. So alarm bells were ringing, red flags going up. So I went through his phone. I went through in Apple, there's like a recently deleted folder, and I saw a text message to a woman's name asking her to meet him at this bar. So yeah, I blocked the number and deleted the contact. And then I confronted him about it. And he told me that he was honest, and I believe him. After our fight, he was at this bar, met this woman, flirted with her, and got her number. So
why do you believe him?
Because the text was just him saying, meet me at this bar, and she didn't respond. There was no response. So if there was a response, I would have seen it. And this was like days after when I found it. So I believe him. He was home every night.
Was he apologetic?
Yes.
Like, where are we now? I mean, because this sounds, I don't know. Sounds
yes, insane. Insane. Right.
Yeah.
Like grounds for termination, right? But when I confronted him about that text, we were up until like 4 a.m. that night, just like one of those crazy, like deep, like crying, apologizing, then maybe fighting. And then like, it was like this insane emotional roller coaster. And we finally, hashed out a lot of stuff that maybe we both had been harboring against each other, and it ended up ending on a really good note in terms of making sure that the way we treat each other and speak to one another and like do the things that matter, like the little things, like when we first wake up in the morning saying hi, giving each other a kiss, giving each other a hug, when we first see each other after work, like making a point, the things that get lost in the busy day-to-day lifestyle that we're living right now. So as of right now, we're in a very good spot. We're in a better spot than we've been in a few years because of this. So I guess that was a good thing. But I'm also now, like I told him this, like you have a pattern. Like you have a pattern when you don't get the validation you want from me, you go and get it from other women. This is kind of what happened in our past. I told him I need to see some proactive behaviors from you that are you showing me that like you're trying to do better. Like, like I'm in therapy, he's not. I would like it if he would go because this is something he could work through.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could usually really benefit from some couples therapy.
Right.
Is he open to that?
Yeah, no, I agree too.
Is he open to that? Couples therapy? Have you suggested it?
I have. And he says yes, but when push comes to shove, he kind of, shucks and jives. He
So why don't you just book an appointment and say, hey, I booked us a couples therapy session. I would really appreciate it if we went. All these conversations we're having, like we could use the help. Neither of us want to keep having these types of conflicts. Listen, your kids aren't idiots. They clearly notice and feel tension. So like, even if nothing else for the sake of the kids, let's get back on the same page. Let's reinvest in our relationship. And to do that, maybe we need more than just muscling through our issues.
Right. Because that's kind of what it feels like. We're like at this point, like we kind of just are like fake it till you make it, maybe, but not really, because it's like it's genuine. I feel it. Like I feel the love. I see that he is intentional and thoughtful, but it's like it's good now, right? Until when?
Listen, every marriage, every relationship has challenges, has its ups and downs. Maybe you guys are just in a valley, but stay the course. No, don't allow an exhausting night of tears and arguments feel like all of a sudden everything's better. I think you need to stay on them and just say, hey, listen, I think you need to insist that you need the help, and lead with love and tell him, hey, I want to make this work. This has been a lot for me. This has been very hurtful. I don't want to have animosity with your mom. You know, I think there's a lot of issues that we aren't really solving the problems to. And I really want to, because I don't want to assign blame, or I just want us to figure out our issues and the things that we are in conflict. And I think we really need the help, and just be very insistent, and don't, you know, and he's going to be resistant, but just keep persisting, because like, there's nothing wrong. If you're going to be persistent about anything, be persistent about couples therapy, because even if you get to the point where he's just like, well, fuck you, I'm going to get a divorce. Well, like, clear, you know where he's at, you know, like a lot of people are resistant to therapy, especially men. But if this man really wants to work on this relationship, he's gonna join you, even begrudgingly at first. So it sounds like there's hope and there's a lot of positives here, but there's something going on with him, and don't look the other way. See this through. Trust your gut. Your instincts are on. You know, you know, I don't like that you had to go through his phone, but your instincts are right. And so when your gut and your body is saying, hey, something's off, don't ignore it. You know, ask him questions. Be like, hey, I know, and just keep insisting that you guys get the help that you guys need. And that's all you really can do. But don't allow him to convince you that everything's fine when deep down you know it's not.
No. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
With mom, hearing you guys, like, has there been any conversations with her? I mean, if she knew what you guys were fighting about.
Right. I ended up sending her an apology. Basically, I texted her apologizing for her trip ending the way it did, saying that I was acting out of character. I've been under a lot of stress. That wasn't really how I feel. The kids love her. She's always welcome and always wanted.
But did you address the actual problem with her?
No, I would like to do that face to face.
Well, sure.
Next time she comes.
But, or stop texting stuff like this and maybe pick up the phone.
This woman is tough.
I don't doubt it, but like, you know, so are you.
Yeah.
You're tough too, and then I mean that in a positive way. You saying, I'm sorry, essentially this was all my fault, is not the solution that's going to get you to where you want to get with her. She needs to understand her place. She needs to understand that this is not all your fault. This is not just you acting out of character, that you had a justifiable reason to be frustrated. You might have handled your frustrations in not the best way, but it doesn't take away from the fact you had a valid reason to be frustrated with her actions. And you need to be able to communicate that. Hey, yes, I'm sorry that you had to hear that. I am sorry that your trip ended shortly, but like, can I just talk with you about why I was frustrated? I could have handled it in a better way, and in the future, I would like to have a better relationship with you, that I can come to you with these things. But I did find it frustrating that you did this, and that's not going to change. And if you come next time and stay with me for 3 weeks and take over my house, you're going to get the same fucking reaction from me. And don't say it like that, but I think you have to have an adult conversation with this woman, because you're both adults. You're not a 6-year-old girl, so you're not a 16-year-old girl. You know, you're not here to like hopefully impress mom and dad so that you can date her son. You are his wife. You have kids together. You don't need her permission to do anything.
Yeah.
You have to talk to her as her equal.
Right. Well, she's not answering me. She's not responding.
She didn't respond to anything.
My text. No, I send her pictures of the kids. She doesn't respond to those.
Stop seeking this woman's validation and approval.
Okay.
She is. Okay. There's a reason she's not responding, and that is to make you feel bad, and that is a power move on her. That's what she probably does with her fucking son every time he disappoints.
Right.
The reason why your husband gives you the fucking silent treatment for a week, you know who you learned that from? Fucking mom.
His mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't let her fucking bully you around.
Okay. Well, I thought I was like being the bigger person. Like I'm like
being the bigger
person. My point.
Don't be petty. You know, being the bigger person is not saying, all right, well, if you do this, I'm going to do that. But there's a difference between being petty and being an adult and having adult communication. So you could say, hey, listen, I really would appreciate a response. And, I'm sorry, your trip ended poorly. I would like to, before you come out next time to see your kids, I would like to have a conversation about like just setting expectations so we're both on the same page. And you need to talk to her as if you are in charge. That doesn't mean you're mean. You don't have to be a dick about it. You are always polite and always nice, but the tone is, you are in control. You are in charge. These are your kids. It's your house. You don't need her permission. She needs yours.
Right.
And if she wants to ignore you, good. Who gives a shit? You know?
Right.
You don't really care. She's a pain in your fucking ass. You know?
It's actually kind of nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't let her make you feel guilty about the shit.
Okay. Yeah. I can do that. Yeah. So would you say I should like contact her like now and do that, or sometime soon and do that, or wait, or just like?
I mean, right now. I mean, if she's ignoring you, let her ignore you.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
The next time she reaches out and she wants to pretend that, because what she's gonna do when she reaches out, it's gonna be like, I'm ready to talk to you now. I'm ready to forgive you.
Right.
And you're like, well, no, it's nice to hear from you, but like, I want to set expectations with you.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sorry you're going through this, but prioritizing, get you and your husband need to get on the same page. Mother-in-law is secondary. The secondary problem. Main problem is you and your husband need to get back on the same page. You need to reconnect, and you guys need some help. And you need to insist and persist to do that. And you do that with love. Don't get triggered. Don't say mean things. Don't let his petty behavior or silent treatment. Stand up for yourself, but do it with love.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes. Okay.
All right, keep us posted. We will need another update, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
All
and
right.
Congratulations on River. She's like the cutest thing ever.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, guys. Well, always, we appreciate you listening. Hope you enjoyed those updates. Don't forget that if you love these updates, there's many more available behind Viall Files Plus. Go to viallfiles.com. It's free to sign up. You get a 7-day free trial. There's like 20-some update specials available to you behind Viall Files Plus. There's also some Vanderpump recaps. We're in the middle of season 3. We have our Pop Extra episodes, our weekly updates on talking about all things pop culture we didn't get to talk about during the week during Reality Recap or Going Deeper. So be sure to check that all out. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you back on Monday. Bye. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.